you doing prior to joining Rivian?
I was in healthcare, so I was not doing anything remotely close to automotive.
I was a special education teacher for 13 years prior to working at Rivian.
I was working for Providence St. Joseph Health, and I was doing human resources. So I was sort of like a regional manager for every hospital that they have from Alaska to Washington. I was loving what I was doing, and then Max called me and said, "Do you want to come work for Rivian?"
I was Air Force for 20 years. I retired from the Air Force in 2014. I've always been more interested in like either cars or something like that. Saw that Rivian was hiring. I had heard of them, so I looked into it and applied, and luckily you called me.
Before coming to Rivian, I was at Carvana. So I was slightly used to like driving like bigger flatbeds, loading and unloading, kind of doing all that. But before that, I was at Apple.
I didn't even know how to change a tire, and I was like, "You want me to what?"
I pretty much only knew that for cars, you fill them up with gas and you change their oil, and that was it. So I was an expert, clearly.
They were looking at something in me and not my background. So, and that in itself made me very excited.
I really felt like it was a complete and total leap of faith. And then when I actually was about to show up for my first day, I was like, I feel like such a fraud. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. And it is scary. But the key thing I think of that is just asking questions of the recruiter. When you go into those interviews, really ask those kind of culture piece questions that make you feel like it's a place that you want to be. And if it lines up real well with what your value system is, it'll work. You'll succeed at it.
I never interviewed for jobs and stuff really, because I went into the Air Force when I was 22, and everything before then was just, just turn in your application and get your job and stuff. So I was really kind of anxious a little bit about exploring that, the whole send your resume. I really hadn't done any of that really in my career. So that was always kind of a little nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I was glad it all worked out.
What are you looking for in people that you do bring onto your team?
I never really put an emphasis on their background. I tell everyone, at this point, I can teach you, not from a technical standpoint, but I can teach you anything you need to know about being efficient enough and knowing enough about the vehicle to be able to do a delivery. I can teach you how to use our systems. I can teach you how to problem solve and innovate, but I cannot teach you to come to work every single day and have a positive attitude. Like that you have to have innately, and that's really what I look for, is someone who is excited to come to work, who's positive, who wants to lean into the challenges of working in an industry they've never worked in before.
Pretty much from when I clock in to when I'm clocking out, I am communicating with people, no matter what, if it's in face, if it's like reaching out, being like, "Hey, your vehicle's here, let's get you scheduled." Delivering is like my favorite, especially when people bring families. It is, I don't know what it is, but showing little ones like where the buttons are, I'm like, I'm so sorry as I'm whispering to the parents, but I'm like, oh my God, you're doing it. Like, did you do that yourself? I love building that relationship. What can I do to better support your experience? Right. It's like my end goal throughout the whole entire day.
Well, I'm a senior field specialist. So a big part of my job is just doing our deliveries, whether that is out of our service center or a home delivery or a flatbed delivery. I get to actually help people learn about our vehicles and show them the capabilities. That's pretty much what I spend most of my time doing, is just talking about Rivian and how cool our cars are.
If it's something that I'm going to change from being a teacher, not that I will ever stop educating people or teaching individuals, but if I'm gonna make a move on from that, I want it to be in something completely different than what I am doing. Having those experience pieces kind of led me into doing what you called me for, was vehicle operations. So that was
that was that.
That was kind of that.
A year later.
Right.
Take the leap of faith, because you can learn anything that needs to be actually learned. Like I learned all about EVs and vehicles and just operations in general. What wasn't taught to me was the intangibles of customer service, and I can be taught whatever I need to be taught for this role, but it's more of the fun aspect that I didn't expect, but it's something I'm extremely glad about.
The most rewarding part of my job is watching my team grow. Seeing people promote, seeing them step outside of their comfort zone, seeing, you know, my girls that have never driven a flatbed become like regional trainers and like fly around the country and like become certified.
I find it so fascinating to see just this progression with the company and how much is changing every single day. And I know that we're all part of it and making that happen just by doing my job.
I think about like what Rivian is trying to accomplish and leave the world a better place than it was. And if that's about the natural environment, or if it's about conservation and protecting land, or if it's about the impact of fossil fuels, you know, on our future, or if it's just about being a nice person, you know, like that's the objective, right?
You can share that some records may or may not be broken, but what's it like at end of quarter in the busiest service center in the country or in the world, truly?
I mean, honestly, it is. Think about your like favorite workout playlist, like full volume. Everyone has a little bit more caffeine in their system, and everyone's just like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna deliver these vehicles. And everyone has a smile on their face, everyone's super excited, like everyone is so committed and so willing to be like, hey, I'm gonna support you. Don't worry, we got this. It's such an extra amount of energy that I didn't know I had in my system that I do, and I'm like, who is this? Like,
That's very cool.